You better fly in, you better say hi, you better have fun, I'm telling you why. ClioCon is coming to town. You came just for the parties, we know and it's okay. Just go to sessions and grab some swag to justify your stay. Everybody now. I felt like I had to do something to follow Jack's session. Welcome everybody to ClioCon 2025, and especially to this session, my session that I worked on for a very long time. The session combines two things that I really like: cars, hence the test drive analogy. Prepare yourselves for more analogies coming up. And of course, Clio. The session, I was kind of laughing when I saw the title of the session. It promised you to show how you could do everything you want and need on the platform. Does anybody have 5 hours? I mean, I'll sing more if that'll keep you around. But let me simplify what we're going to cover today. This is going to be an end-to-end demo of a client journey, all done on the Clio platform, of course. And the 2 points of view that we'll take is how it's like for the client, but also how it's like for the firm. We don't want to sacrifice either of those: the client experience and the workflows and automations and reduced overhead that comes to the firm. Sounds good? Before we jump in, of course, I really want to thank our unicorn, visionary, and innovator partners this year, who you can find in the exhibitor hall. Amazing companies with amazing solutions. Please pay them a visit. And I just want to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Zorak Nitzan. I'm a senior solution engineer at Clio. This is my very first time at ClioCon. Anybody else? A virgin? ClioCon virgin? I have more than 10 years of experience in the industry, so I do bring some knowledge to the table. To make this a tad more personal, besides singing a really corny song at the beginning, I'll tell you something very odd about myself. I am very much obsessed with home organization. Labels and containers and decluttering. Anybody else is into that kind of stuff? I have a YouTube channel about that, which I'm not allowed to promote, but come to me afterwards. Now to business. Over the next 25 minutes, I'll take you on a journey through the two perspectives that I told you about before: your firm's experience and your clients. We'll start with intake and scheduling, how to make it smooth, automated, seamless. Then we'll explore case management, automations, and some of the AI capabilities that we can offer. I also just came back from Jack's session, and I'm not going to do all of the AI capabilities. After that, we'll tackle everyone's favorite topic: getting paid. Woohoo! And we'll wrap up with accounting. Woohoo! Okay, so going back to the test drive analogy, let's take this baby for a drive. We'll start by getting introduced to our model client today. This is Sally. Sally is recently widowed. She's looking to update her estate plan. She's looking for a law firm, of course, to help her with that. Just to put ourselves in her shoes, she not only needs to make some difficult legal decisions, she's also under a lot of emotional challenges and changes in her life. So it's not an easy time for people. It's not an easy time for most people who come to a law firm. Let's admit that. We'll use Sally's story throughout the conversation to demonstrate her experience as the quintessential client experience. What would be her first introduction to your firm? Maybe it's a referral. Even if it is a referral, she might just go on Google and look it up, right, to find your website. She finds your website. She sees it's a really professional website with lots of practice areas and kind of professional looking information in it. So she feels comfortable to reach out to you. So you've been chosen. That's a good start. Now, once she lands on your website, she finds a clear and easy-to-use intake form. Now, just pause with me and think about the time that this saves her. She fills out the intake form explaining exactly what she's looking for. This is a secure form. She can put any information in it. She can upload documents. In an alternate universe with a different firm, she would have probably emailed the firm or called, try to get somebody on the phone to get some information from her, wait for somebody to get back, maybe after a few days, get an email with an attachment of the intake form, which she would need to print out, fill out, scan, email back, you get it. So it's those simple things that really change the client experience. So now she can share her information securely at her own pace from the comfort of her home. That's really important considering the situation that she's in. Sally is also, if she desires, able to book a consultation directly from the website. This is linked with Clio. This is linked with your calendars. It'll only surface specific allotted openings that you want to people to be able to block off for consultations, to book off for consultations. No phone tag. No, let me get back to you and see when the intake specialist is available. She immediately receives an automated confirmation email followed by a reminder email as the appointment approaches. What is Sally's first impression with your firm? And I'm going to harp on that a lot in this presentation. I think she thinks that your firm is modern, responsive, organized, and for her, I think most important, is focused on making the legal process less stressful. And I think that's a really important first impression you want to have with your clients. Now I'm going to be switching hats back and forth, client, firm, firm, client. So this is now intake from the firm's perspective. One of the goals for a lot of firms that I speak to is minimizing the amount of effort that goes into intake. It takes time, has people by the phone filling in information in Excel or a legal pad. Reducing that time and effort while keeping that elevated experience to the client, not sacrificing one for the other. Both are equally important. The easier it gets for the firm to handle all this intake, it just means that it frees up a lot of time for them to handle a larger volume of potential clients and grow as a firm. As an added bonus, of course, clients are seeking for the exact same experience. They want an easy, organized experience as well. So it's a win-win. This is really important. Once Sally fills out the information that I showed you on the intake form, that information goes directly into Clio. I've seen a lot of firms where intake goes into a printed paper, a fillable PDF, an Excel sheet, an email inbox. I'll let you think for yourselves all the downfalls of these kinds of systems. With Clio Grow, this intake information goes directly into Clio, which means that it can be actioned immediately. And also Clio Grow can action it according to the information that she's provided. So she's coming into your firm, filling in information, and the steps that you take to follow up with that information are steps that are relevant to her. You're not treating her like a generic client who's just phoned in. Does that make sense? Yep. I'm sorry, no more songs for today. I came up with the idea for the song late at night, and maybe if you twist my arm, I'll do another song. Okay, so we're still in the firm's perspective. I mean, there's so much innovation that Jack just showed. So this is kind of the plain vanilla process. Other steps in the intake process are mapped out. Nobody has to reinvent the wheel. Nothing has to fall through the cracks. Creating an engagement letter happens automatically via a template, sent out automatically. We talked about email campaigns, conflict checks, any sort of task. All this can be mapped out automatically. For Sally, we're still going through that intake process up until that consultation. We booked that consultation, she filled out the intake form. Now she's getting an email with the engagement letter. At her own pace, the comfort of her home, or wherever she is in the world, she can review the engagement letter and sign it electronically. Again, we're valuing her time. I've been on the client side of seeking legal help. The number of times I have to drive up and down to the law firm were not my favorite parts of that experience. So with a review and an e-signature, Sally handles the whole process. Now, from the firm's perspective, we talked about intake. This is where intake turns into case management. Importantly, all this information that we've gathered from Sally stays within the case management. We're not losing any fields, whether custom or standard, any documents, any intake forms. All that stuff gets carried through with one click of a button. Once she's carried through into Clio Manage, our case management solution, automations and workflows kick in automatically. Automations that would define what the template matter should be. So if you're not familiar with template matters, those define almost everything about how you should approach a case. Things such as who should be the responsible attorney, what fields should we add to it, because if it's a PI case, we don't want the same fields as if it's a insurance plaintiff case or a state law case. You define how you're going to bill for that case, what kind of folders you want them to be preset in that case. All these things happen automatically as the matter is created. I love how easy that makes matter creation. I've never been a lawyer, but I've spoken to many firms where to create a matter, all these different sets of information go to a specific person who is responsible for opening matters in their old legacy system, and it takes them a while, and they make errors. Nobody's perfect, but this is so easy. And this is the case or a matter in Clio. So the bottom line is now you can see all the custom fields, all build activities, emails, phone logs, documents, tasks, bills, they all now live under one roof. You can do a lot of things in Clio, especially with regards to case management. And I'm just going to point out one thing, because for me, I'm particularly passionate about the client experience, if you haven't figured out already. We can elevate the client communication with Sally by creating a dedicated client portal for her directly from Clio. That becomes her direct line into your firm to share sensitive information, to upload documents, and to get case updates. This one spot where she can have a professional and also transparent experience with your firm. Transparent is important because we all know what it's like to be on the client side, where you have to call in and ask to speak with the attorney to know, has this motion been filed? Has this happened? Did we hear back? So now we're giving Sally a transparent experience. Now, I would get fired if I didn't talk about AI now, so apologies in advance. So this is where Manage AI comes in. And Jack did an amazing job showing all the new things that Manage AI comes with. I'm just going to touch quickly on the most basic things that I still think are immensely impactful. Manage AI is what I would call a digital partner that never takes a cigarette break. People still take cigarette breaks. There's the vape breaks now, yoga breaks if you're in BC. In any case, instead of spending hours, for example, reading documents, one click can analyze up to 25 documents. So in seconds, you can analyze Sally's entire package that she sent over and filled out. Then you can dive deep, ask complex questions, and get those answers right away. Hours saved. You can also capture these answers, as you've seen in Jack's keynote. So now anybody looking at the matter and wants to catch up on that kind of information does not have to run the analysis again. Manage AI is also very good in helping you focus on what's important, managing your workload. It's very convenient to talk only about one case that you're managing. But besides the 10 things that you need to do on Sally's case, you have 150 things that you need to do on the other cases that you're working on. So Manage AI has a few ways of surfacing the most urgent, pertinent things for you to focus on the homepage, and you can also just prompt it and say, hey, what should I focus on? And it'll give you the things with deadlines and overdue tasks and such. And I love this one. This is like old school ChatGPT stuff, in a sense. Is this recorded? Oh, no. But the communication side of being an attorney has a lot of repetitive, kind of mundane communications back and forth. So Manage AI, with a quick prompt, can compose a beautiful response or a follow-up to a client to help you send it through Outlook or however you want. Also, if you're chatting with your client via email, portal, text, it's also right there in the user interface with suggested responses. So no prompting necessary. Just click on, thank you for the documents. I will review them within the next few days and get back to you. I love that. How's the test drive going so far? Yeah, it's okay? Okay. Running out of gas. Drafting documents. It's a huge part of legal work, and all I can think of is all the time that's put into it, all the inefficiencies, and if only there was a way to make drafting a document easy. If only there was a way to make drafting a bunch of documents easy. What would you do with all your free time? How many cigarettes breaks would you take with all that free time? That's called a callback. With Clio Draft, your firm can generate documents instantly, pulling in all that information that we already have on the matter and from the paperwork that Sally has provided us. You can also generate what we call document sets. So if you're working on an estate plan, there's probably multiple documents that need to be filled out. With one click of a button, in this case, you would choose the wills and estate package. It'll pull all these documents in and draft them in a matter of 2 minutes. Besides the fact that this is very efficient and very slick, what it bids goodbye to is information silos. Oh yeah, I filled out that information, but it's on the F drive in this folder, in this document, that only I know where to find. So no information silos, no double entry, and no more search and replace in Word. Anybody does search and replace in Word? Replace the name of the client, yeah? God, so hard. And my favorite, no more entering the exact same information, address, district, jurisdiction, name, 17 times in one document. The system automatically will just auto-populate all these for you, even if you're putting together a document set with multiple documents in it. So in a few clicks, you have a complete and professionally formatted draft for your review. And with another click, you can prepare it for e-signature. Simple, easy, awesome. That's Clio Draft. Now we're doing a reset on our journey and checking in with Sally. We talked a lot about features, functionalities for the firm, but what is her experience so far? She expected to drive back and forth to the firm to fill out forms. She expected some phone tags. She expected piles of paperwork. What she got is an easy, modern, convenient experience. We're saving her time but also reducing the level of stress and anxiety that's involved in the legal process and especially in her circumstance. Okay. Back to the firm, billing, the final frontier. Billing is often one of the biggest headaches, not often, always one of the biggest headaches for firms that I speak to, and I speak to dozens of firms per week. Every different firm has its own different version of hell when it comes to billing. Sometimes it's the familiar hell. I don't know if somebody that I spoke to is here, somebody that spoke to yesterday is here today, and I hope it's okay I use this example. She said, I take all the paperwork at home and open a bottle of wine, and I work for hours on the stinking billing. Multiple departments, multiple systems, back and forth, errors, lawyers who are not always the most on top of their game. So with Clio, you can generate and create a bill in a matter of seconds. So if I want to send Sally's invoice, I'll click a button, it'll pull up all the work in progress stuff, put it into a bill, let me review it, push it through an approval process, easy peasy. You can also bulk generate your bills. Same deal. Press of a button, it'll bring up all of your firm's work in progress, all of your unbilled time and expenses. You can still filter out and say, no, I just want to do it for that client or for this practice area or for this attorney. But again, one click of a button, you can go through hundreds of bills if you want to. You can print the bills, stuff them into envelopes, and put them in carrier pigeons if you want. But it's 2025. I'm sick of it. With Clio, you can print bills. I know it's your clients who demand it. But you could also send them by email through the client portal that I showed you a couple minutes ago and by text message. Very, very easy. Also automated reminders for people who haven't paid their bills. So you don't have to do the chasing. We simply have an automated interval, 15 days or whatever it is, where you follow up automatically. Sally's billing experience, guess what? Easy. It's often a point of stress for clients. They get a bill maybe later than they thought, and they're like, oh, shit, I forgot I haven't even paid that. And then they get instructed on that piece of paper how to pay. In the email that Sally got, she got all the description of her invoice and an easy-to-click pay online now. When Sally's ready to pay, she clicks on that button and she's offered a variety of secure ways to pay her bill. If you were in the keynote, you saw that we are now also offering something called Buy Now, Pay Later through a firm. So if you're in a practice area that works with people who don't necessarily have the funds to pay, they're able to leverage that. And finally, the moment her payment goes through, Sally gets a receipt and a downloaded paid invoice. There was no back and forth emails. There was no waiting for confirmation. There was no phone calls. Just easy. Okay, back to the firm to kind of close the loop. Accounting is nobody's favorite topic, but it's critical for a law firm. Having an integrated legal-specific accounting tool in the platform means that you can have a closed-loop system where you can see all your reports, all your profitability and metrics in one place. Your accounting personnel, for example, can log all case-related costs, such as filing fees and other hard costs, directly to the matter without granting them access to information that they don't need to see. So you can restrict their view, they log the expenses, but they don't see confidential client information. They can run all the three-way reconciliations, and with the built-in reports, again, see cash flow, revenue, all the accounting-focused reports that you need for your firm. Okay, this is my favorite part. You ready? I know stats can be a little dry, and presenters like me hype it up. This is the biggest ClioCon ever. So here's my promise to you. I'm going to keep it dry, no hype, just the numbers, okay? Firms using Clio see 2.5 times faster collection on unpaid bills. That means that if it takes you on average 45 days to collect, that turns into 18. That's a big difference. If it takes you on average 60 days to collect, that now turns to 24. No hype. Just keeping it cool. Firms also see a significant increase in realization rates. For those of you who don't know what a realization rate is, I'm sure all of you do, but I'll just repeat it. That means that firms using Clio are able to charge for more of the hours they've worked, specifically 26% more. I know most of you here in the audience are in this field just for the joy of it. But some lawyers like to get paid. If they put 12 hours in, they'd like to get paid for 12 hours. And lastly, firms using Clio are seeing 43 days of fewer days of annual revenue lockup. What does that mean? That means that 43 days of revenue is in your bank account instead of being in unbilled and unpaid revenue. That's a month and a half of cash flow, of money, that now is available to you to run your business. Okay, we've completed the client journey. Things that I care about the most is the client experience. The seamless intake, that experience that you guys are professional, organized, that you care about her experience, you keep her information secure. We saw how this helps the firm as well with automations that kind of auto-populate the matter for you, so matter creation is a snap, with document drafting via Clio Draft, with accounting. Now, before I bid you goodbye, I want to point you to two amazing places here in the conference. We just started the conference, right? You guys haven't explored everything quite yet. The Clio Product Lab is where you can meet our actual engineers and developers, learn about the features that Jack talked about in his presentation, tell them about what you absolutely hate or want to have changed in Clio, and they'll put that into their pipeline, and just have that interaction around specifically how the product works. The Clio Success Center, if you're an existing Clio client and you want to have a one-on-one experience with a success professional to help you tweak how you use Clio, that's your chance. Go there, book an appointment, and you'll have a one-on-one session with a client success manager. That's it for me. You got one song, you got a whole bunch of other stuff. Thank you for joining me on this test drive today. We've covered a lot of ground. I hope you have a wonderful ClioCon. I'll see you at the parties.